on-site INEC crèche for young mothers. These facilities provided support for nursing mothers, enabling them to balance their professional responsibilities with family lives. Furthermore, he also introduced institutional pride and honor initiatives that enables long service award and created basis for recognizing outstanding staff during their regular staff recognition nights. Inclusion and concern about staff did not end within the organization. It sought also to improve inclusivity in the core principle of electoral administration, ensuring that the deliberate effort to make inclusion a core principle of election, moving in from an hardcore concern into something that is institutionalized within the organization and beyond. What this means is that he paid attention to persons with disability as people within the IDP counts as key players within the electoral process. And so measures were made to ensure that such voters are disenfranchised, ensuring that the principle of inclusivity therefore begins from within the organization, reaching out to the other electoral process. One of the most outstanding creation of the era is actually the introduction of culture, technology awareness, and embrace within the Commission. Indeed, it demonstrated unprecedented and ambitious deployment of technology to foster the integrity and efficiency of the electoral process. We have listed many of the measures that we are taking, but one important aspect of it is the desire to enhance the transparency of the electoral process by introducing the INEC results viewing portal. This public-facing platform allows citizens and observers to view scanned copies of the original polling unit result sheets in real time. And as it turned out, this measure demonstrated the complexities and challenges of managing the electoral process. Because as we come to see, it not only created opportunities to clean up the electoral process, it also enables the Commission to bring transparency into the electoral process. But this, of course, comes with its own challenges. And that's why, as Yakubu himself often cautioned, a good law does not automatically produce good elections. The challenge was and remains one of implementation. Even the most progressive forms can be undermined by weak enforcement and by the failure of other institutions such as security agencies, the political parties, and the judiciary, who are required to uphold complementary responsibilities. The major challenge has to do with human factors. Because in some regions, the digital tools perform flawlessly. In others, they encountered bottlenecks that challenge public confidence. And these inconsistencies underscore the perennial tension between technological innovations and the realities of the electoral terrain. Now, Professor Yakubu's response to these challenges is very instructive. Rather than retreat from reform, he doubled down on institutional level. INEC post-election review became hallmark of his tenure. These reviews were candid, self-assessments involving stakeholders, observers, and staff. Not only documented lapses, but also generated actionable policy lessons that shaped subsequent improvements. In this way, integrity became not a fixed condition, but a process of continuous refinement. Equally significant was his insistence on transparency in communication. The members of civil society have made this point again and again. because INEC began to publish comprehensive election reports, financial statements, procedural manuals, and documents on its website. These were previously circulated only with official sources. This openness invited scrutiny, but it also fuels credibility. By asking information in the public domain, the Commission positioned itself as an accountable custodian of the democratic process rather than the secret bureaucracy. During Yakubu's tenure, the goal was consciously expanded to capture as many voters as possible, especially young voters who are just coming of age. And one of the very important innovations during this time was the continuous voter registration, which started in 2020. This policy marked a radical departure from the previous act of exercises, granting citizens year-round ongoing opportunities to register for the first time, hereby dismantling significant barriers to electoral participation. This sustained initiative yielded monumental results, adding over 23 million new voters to the national registers across two general elections of 2019 and 2023. This massive enrollment effort, particularly among young Nigerians, represented one of the most significant expansion of the electorate in Nigeria's democratic history. To further enhance accessibility and convenience, the Commission introduced online pre-registration portals. This innovation empowers citizens to initiate the process of voter registration, request transfers to new polling units, update their information, or apply for replacement of lost or damaged permanent voters card. This move significantly reduced the time and logistical burden of citizens and digital government to leveraging digital solutions for public service. The Commission made public extensive data breaking down the electorate by age, gender, occupation, and for the first time disability status. This unprecedented level of transparency allowed for independent analysis, informed public discourse, and held the Commission accountable for its mandate of building an inclusive and representative voter register, providing civil society and stakeholders with vital tools for advocacy and progress. No discussion of Mahmoud's tenure at the Independent Electoral Commission can be complete without addressing the question of electoral integrity. For Professor Yakubu, integrity has to be understood both as a principle and as practice. It is not something to be declared rhetorically or designed architecturally, built into the very fabric of the Commission's legal operational security system. The decade-long stewardship, therefore, represented a sustained effort to translate the ideal of integrity into law, procedure, and accountability. From the outset, he understood that electoral integrity rests on three important pillars: law, logistics, and legitimacy. So legal frameworks give structure to electoral conduct, logistics ensure credibility in execution, and legitimacy emphasizes public trust. So his reform agenda engaged all three simultaneously: modernizing legislation, improving operational systems, and promoting civic participation as a cornerstone of credible election. Nowhere is this shown more than the passage of the Electoral Act 2022. INEC worked closely with the National Assembly, civil society organizations, and the government partners to produce a law that reflected Nigeria's contemporary electoral realities. The Act codified earlier innovations and gave statutory force to tools like the smart card voter accreditation system and the INEC result-giving purpose. It guided regulations of political party primaries, candidate nomination, campaign finance, and election petitions, strengthening transparency and predictability across the systems. The legislative consolidation gave INEC both legal confidence and institutional resilience. Recognizing that laws must translate into consistent practice, INEC issued a comprehensive suite of guidelines and operational manuals at every stage of the electoral process. These documents made publicly accessible and systematically updated, providing clarity for electoral officers, party observers, security agencies alike. Now, this standardization enhanced professionalism, reduced discretion, and improved procedural consistency across the Nigerian's electoral field. Equally significant was that the framed integrity of civic responsibility consistently maintained that credible elections depend not only on the but on the conduct of political parties, candidates, voters, security agencies, and the media. In this wise, he understood that the ownership of the electoral process and the question of integrity is broad. So he sought to institutionalize civic ethics, where fairness and restraint are expected of all,
live
not demanded
from the Instagram account, not from.
under his leadership. INEC demonstrated
I don't know.
a significant degree of technical advocacy and legislative engagement. The Commission made detailed submissions to the National Assembly on campaign finance, diaspora voting, and technology use, contributing expert evidence that inform ongoing constitutional and electoral reform efforts. As part of the current review of the Electoral Act, INEC has submitted 142 recommendations to further strengthen the legal administrative framework of elections in Nigeria. Of course, electoral integrity is never fully achieved. It is tested anew with each electoral cycle. Under Google's watch, tangible progress was made. Fewer instances of multiple voting, more transparent collation process, and greater inclusion of women, youth, and persons with disability. Yet, enduring challenges persist. There's still vote buying, there's still voter intimidation, and the manipulation of judicial processes. Within its constitutional limits, INEC under the people sought to confront these challenges through collaboration with law enforcement and the judiciary, pressing for deterrence and prosecution. Despite the inevitable controversies, the results of this legal technical evolution are unmistakable. Nigeria's elections today are governed by clearer laws, stronger technology, and more predictable procedures than at any time since 1999. Information gaps remain, but the system has become more transparent, more auditable, and harder to manipulate. Through painstaking fusion of law, technology, and institutional learning, he has repositioned INEC as a self-correcting organization capable of adapting, reforming, and improving itself. Its legacies lie not in the perfection of reforms, but in the architecture of integrity left behind. A foundation that is sturdy enough for future reforms to build upon, and for Nigeria's democracy to continue to mature. And the next session is typically focused on his engagement with stakeholders. I think we have lots of from those who have given us good deal today. But one of the most significant innovations that I would like to talk about is the revitalization of INEC executive committees, which became regular platform for stakeholder groups. The Interagency Consultation Committee for Election Security, for instance, ensured coordinated planning with security agencies, helping to reduce violence and improve response mechanism during elections. The Interparty Advisory Council provided structured space for political parties to engage the Commission on rules, logistics, and events. The civil societies who are partnered with INEC as well. Okay. So through these engagements, INEC helped professionalize election observation in Nigeria. Observer groups such as Center for Transparency and Advocacy, the Yaga Africa, Clean Foundation, Civil Society Situation, Center for Democracy and Development, and the Transition Monitoring Groups, and a whole number of others became part of a continuous feedback group, offering evidence-based recommendations that inform reforms. In the CSO of the community and the wider society, as CTA is recognized for its perspective on electoral reforms and community engagement. The Commission's willingness to receive critique and adapt accordingly reflected in the programmatic understanding that accountability is strengthened, not weakened by open doors. The media likewise played central role in shaping public perception and the broader electoral process. INEC's website and social media channels were deliberate strategies to counter misinformation, building transparent communication regime, clarifying its mandate, and with humility acknowledging its limitations. Nonetheless, the relationship with these stakeholders was not always without friction. Political parties often accuse INEC of bias when outcomes did not favor them, while sections of civil society criticize the Commission for perceived opacity during controversies, especially during 2023 general elections. Yet the fact that such criticism could be openly debated and responded to within the institutional framework was itself evident of democratic maturity. Professor Yakubu's INEC never retreated into defensiveness. Rather, it maintained engagement, recognizing that disagreement is managed constructively and broad democratic accountability. The less visible but equally important dimension of Yakubu's stakeholder strategy was his focus on building an institutional partnership. INEC collaborated with domestic and international partners such as the United Nations Development Program and the International Foundation for Electoral Assistance to train staff, develop election technology, fund civic education initiatives. These partnerships were not mere financial aid, but vehicles for knowledge exchange and standard setting, positioning Nigeria's INEC as a continental reference point in electoral management. The cumulative effect of this effort was the emergence of a more participatory electoral ecosystem, an ecosystem in which trust was not assumed but earned through constant dialogue, bringing parties, observers, and the media into electoral conversation. INEC created a shared ownership of both the successes and shortcomings of Nigeria's elections. The story of INEC's stakeholder engagement is one of dialogue and strategy. He understood that building legitimacy in the constituted political space requires not possession, but participation, not silence, but conversation. He decided long-standing stewardship, his long-standing stewardship transformed the Commission from an opaque bureaucracy into a listening institution, one that even amid remained called law, transparency, and partnership. As a result of the performance of Professor Mahmoud, he was appointed as elected as president of the ECOWAS network of electoral commission, signaling how his leadership, his visionary leadership, extended beyond Nigerians' borders. He demonstrated profound commitment to regional solidarity as president of ECONET and personally led numerous peer support and technical assistance missions to sister commissions in countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Ghana. These missions provided not only moral support for these countries, but was also direct technical and material aid, showcasing Nigeria as a model and fostering collaborative environment within the ECOWAS region. This contribution was formally recognized when he was honored by Liberia's National Electoral Commission in 2023 for his outstanding contribution to electoral development in that country. Before I draw the curtain on my discussion, let me take a look once again at how these efforts tell us something about INEC and the future of democracy in Nigeria. Nigeria's electoral journey under stewardship has been redefined by a wide but profound technological revolution. From the bimodal voter application system to the resulting portal, to the digitalization of candidate nomination process. These tools did not emerge by accident. They were the product of foresight and understanding that democracy in the 21st century must rest on verifiable data, not just declarations. Its legacy, however, does not lie in the machines themselves, but the institutional mindset that now governs their lives. It helped shift INEC from seeing technology as a novelty to treating it as infrastructure, as integral to electoral governance, such as polling booths and ballot boxes. The Commission under its watch learned that technology cannot substitute for integrity, but it can amplify it. It cannot eliminate manipulation, but it can make manipulation traceable, accountable, and therefore riskier. The next frontier of Nigerian democratic consolidation lies in deepening and sustaining this institutional culture. As INEC enters a post-Yakubu era, the challenge will be twofold. First, to preserve the gains of digital transparency while addressing the operational bottlenecks that accompany them. Two, technology must now evolve from tools of election day administration to instruments of long-term democratic planning, powering data-driven decisions on constituency delimitation, voter education, logistics, and security coordination. Equally, the Commission must continue to professionalize its human capital. Machines can authenticate fingerprints, but only human integrity can authenticate elections. The future will demand a new generation of electoral managers fluent both in law and technology. And it requires individuals who can navigate not only codes and algorithms, but also the ethical dilemmas of power, persuasion, public trust. For Nigeria, path ahead is both challenging and promising. The 2022 Electoral Act has created the legal foundation for a more transparent. What remains is to ensure faithful implementation across every state, every province, and every election system. Network infrastructure improves, network infrastructure improves, and as digital literacy expands, the full promise of BVAC and other system will begin to unfold, reducing human power and strengthening power as the ultimate capital. But democracy cannot rely on technology alone. The future of Nigeria's election will depend on institutional cooperation and democratic norms. The judiciary must uphold electoral justice with courage, and security agencies must act with impartiality, and citizens must continue to defend the sanctity of the vote. INEC, for its part, must remain a custodian that is fair, and forward-looking, committed to serving not governments or parties of Nigeria. In this sense, the 10 years tenure of Professor Yakubu was not merely a period of reform, it was a rehearsal for the future. His leadership has shown that credible elections are not miracles or circumstances, but outcomes of discipline in law, in process, principle. The link behind an institution that is stronger, more self-aware, and more technological grounded and innovative. As Nigeria moves towards the next decade of its democratic experiment, the task is to consolidate these gains, strengthen local election, deepen voter participation, improve results management, and institutionalize post-election accountability. These lessons of the past 10 years must now guide the next 20 years. Because Mahmoud's tenure offers a powerful reminder that in a democracy, continuity is the ultimate form. The Commission is not perfect, it is opposite. Not without critics, but undeniably credible in its evolution. Its decade of service has expanded the boundaries of what is possible in electoral administration in Africa's largest democracy. As we celebrate its legacy, we also affirm the principle he has championed throughout his career, that elections are not events or processes, not performances of power, but instruments of accountability. The future of Nigeria's democracy will depend on how faithfully we build on this foundation, with courage, integrity, and an unshakable belief that every vote counts. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we close this reflection,
so that I can take part of it.
Jacobus tenure reminds us that leadership in a democracy is not measured by outcomes, but by endurance,
Don't finish
by the quiet result of both principles when experience records. Legacy lies not in the elections it conducted, but in the systems it built. We hope that this system will continue to serve Nigeria long after this moment of farewell. As we celebrate his service, we do so not with finality, but with continuity. His work is a bridge to the future. His work calls upon all of us as citizens and institutions to build upon the foundation he has laid. Foundation of law, technology, and integrity. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the profound and inspiring keynote. This is a hand of applause once more for Prof. Before I give the microphone to Mr. McDonald to take us into a group photograph session, I want to share a very short story or experience of my INEC democracy journey. Some years back, for my departmental alumni, we had for FCT Abuja, we had an election and I was appointed as the INEC chairman. Then, up till today, I still ain't that name, Jega. I was even given an award internationally. You know, Mr. McDonald here was contesting as the coordinator of the chapter. Then, now is my global president of my departmental alumni. Red Charter Art, you are thespians. Mr. Anna Yoguti was my member in the electoral board. It was a very short, but it was a deep experience for me because I didn't sleep. People were calling me for departmental alumni election. People were calling me up and down. People from in US, London, so many different places, and some were threatening my life. Simply because of alumni chapter elections. So I don't know how Professor Mahmoud did his own. I don't know how he did. I don't know how he muscled for 10 years. Please, let's give a hand of applause for Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. You did a good job, sir. And I want to be like you.
Okay, you start from somewhere. Yes, you know, thank you so much, Ayadin, for what you have done. I told somebody, I said, we are not here. Some people, have been asking. I said, we have not come here to X-ray 2023. It is beyond 2023 election. We have come here to X-ray from 2015 to 2025 of what INEC has done. And that is what we have done here today. So once again, we'll say thank you, Prof. Please, we didn't say this when we started. We waited for the event center security to give us security green. But please, I'll just do it shortly. The main entrance here, there's another exit just behind us, just in case. From that exit door too, if you exit on your right is where we have the convenience. So please, we apologize that this didn't happen there. So we have a quick group photograph. Please, all the members of the service table, who can stay here, and a few of us can just take off. We'll just take the quick group photograph, and we'll continue with the program of the day. The time is not on our side right now. So please, the service table, all the members of this service table, please. Because I think we are done with this podium now. Please, you can come and pick your cameras. Just by the sign of this. So, just stand only the service table. Yes, please. If here is not enough, so we must plan with that. Irene. Oh, okay. Sometimes. So, can we have like 3 or 4 seats here? Madam, I'm gonna have like 4 seats. Okay, please. Okay. Okay, I read. The key speaker is. First line.
He was sorry, busy charging. Sir? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, your phone. That's your
Yes.
phone.
Okay. No. No, we are done. We are done. Okay. 8. Just wait. Okay, thank you very much. Please help us send back the chairs where they should be. This ICT, put on the profile of, just key in the profile. Okay, so we are going into the panel discussion. Yes, what? Yes. Okay. Now, the moderator is Dr. Markin Money Amaro, highly respected. For those of us who watch AIT, not only AIT, but for those who have followed the Nigerian media landscape, Dr. Money Amaro is not somebody who will not be familiar with. He's a political scientist, governance and leadership specialist. Of course, he's a seasoned media expert, strategic communicator, development, humanitarian, and rights advocate. He's a member of the International Board of Action Aid, fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, and he is the host of the popular television program People, Politics, Power on NIT. I think it's on Mondays.
Every day,
And
every day of the week.
please, may
Not
we
only Mondays.
announce the arrival of Dr. Khalid Al-Amari. Yes. So you are the moderator, so you take anything to be like. All right,
The next
please.
Next one.
Okay. Next slide, please. Now, we are talking of the National Chairman Interparty Advisory Council of Nigeria, Dr. Alhaji Yusuf Muhammad Dantare. He is the National Chairman, Allied People's Movement, 2018 till now, governorship candidate for APM Kogi State, gubernatorial election in 2019, deputy governorship candidate, Labour Party, Kogi State, gubernatorial election 2015, National Secretary, Interparty Advisory Council of Nigeria, IPAC, 2020 to 2023. He is result-driven with over 18 years of experience in business management, politics, and advocacy, proven track record of success in managing companies, leading political parties, and promoting national development, committed nationalist and believer in particularism. Perhaps he has to explain that to us today. This is another school of thought. I like that kind of news. My love is also telling me that Alhaji Dantare is a feminist. So he's a champion. He for she. Okay. Another panelist is the immediate past President Electoral Commissioner of Kaduna State, an academic who has risen to the highest position in the polytechnic system of education. She was a chief lecturer. She has held several positions in Kaduna Polytechnic. She was examination officer, social sciences department, HOD social sciences, director, CASSS. She's also a fellow of several professional bodies and an alumni of Harvard Business School. Dr. Mekuri is on the board of many organizations, NDDC, and she believes in philanthropy and service to humanity. We saw her as a vice chairman and later chairman of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Kaduna State. As I said earlier, Dr. Mekuri was a resident electoral commissioner of INEC and served in Zamfara 2017 to 2021 and Kaduna State 2021 to 2022. So she also spent 10 years. So she was the only female resident electoral commissioner during that period. She has a PhD and she's married with children and grandchildren. So, the thing that interests me sometimes when you see women who are occupying positions, they are not only beautiful in brain, but they're also beautiful. You can attest to that. Thank you. Thank you. No, I'll never go. I'm not an Alafi. So I don't have that kind of license. Thank you. Please, the next slide.
Right.
Because what I see here is too abridged. But whichever way it is, he is an encyclopedia on his own. His face is known all over. He is an influencer. He's an activist, not a cashist. He is not. He's an activist. So, well, those who are very, very close to him call him Eze. Me, I know if you call him, I will call him Chief Eze. Please, he has an enviable and proud pedigree as a radical and intrepid fighter for liberty, justice, and human rights. Having cut his teeth as a student and youth leader during the difficult military era, emerging as a conscientious and bold public intellectual, and a dependable pillar of democracy, which led him to serve as civil society delegate to the 2014 National Conference. He's on the board of several non-profits and a recipient of the National Award Member of the Federal Republic, MFR. Proud holder of the traditional titles as Ahe Jemba 1 of Ife Asian Community and Agom IBC. You are welcome, sir. Let me also tell you something that was not written here. If Chief Ezenwa stands behind you, he is behind you. There are no two ways. You know they do like this. Some of you may be going like this, and if he believes it is like this, he will go like that. If you like, say this way you like. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Let's like this. We have introduced Prof. Abubakar Omar Kari. He's a professor of political sociology at the University of Abuja and a regular commentator on politics and public affairs. He was a one-time national expert on political parties and the legislature of International Republican Institute, IRI. During the 2011, 2015, and 2019 general elections, he served as a member of the MacArthur Foundation Election Analysis Center. He helped coordinate the NDRI 2023 Election Observer Mission in Abuja. Welcome, Professor Kagi. Now, before I go into Kemi Okeodo, a lawyer, when I was a nobody, I was living in Warri. They were now asked, we wanted to do a project in Niger State. No. Yes, so that, no, I have to tell that story. It's important. Because when you don't know people, small me, I looked for her in her office. I didn't find her, so I dropped a letter. I later communicated with her on the phone. I said, please, ma'am, we are going to Niger State. There is no flight from Abuja to Niger State. Then the road was very bad. How would do it? I was shocked. I was surprised. She attended our program, stayed at a low-profile hotel where we put her, and went by road again. Thank you so much, ma. I have not forgotten. Just as we said, October 2020, we have not forgotten. I will not forget. She is a lawyer, a development practitioner with over 22 years of experience advancing security and justice sector reform governance and inclusive policy advocacy in Nigeria and West Africa. She is the founder and executive director of the Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative Partners West Africa Nigeria, a women-led organization in Nigeria dedicated to enhancing citizens' participation in security, governance. Her work sits at the intersection of gender, governance, and justice, bridging state and non-state actors to strengthen policy accountability, community safety, and citizens' trust in democratic institutions. Over the course of her career, Barrister Kemi has provided technical leadership to national and international programs with the UNDP, British Council, and the Sheikh Hussein Adua Foundation. She's already seated. Please come up to her house. Another IGP. This is Somen Boji, Dr. Mekon Namada. And it's on record that when he served as a rec in Enugu State, that there was no litigation from the elections that he conducted. Nobody went to court. Because he had a way of policing he was policing his staff and policing the political parties as well and the agents. So there was no place, there was no loophole. So even if you went to court, you will fail because he didn't give you any loophole for you to do. So he's the founder and executive director of Citizen Center for Integrated Development and Social Rights. He has held several prominent leadership roles. He's also the founder and facilitator of several governance and accountability initiatives, including the Nigeria Democracy Clinic, Southeast Elected Representatives Performance Evaluation, and the National Anti-Corruption Roundtable. He has had an extensive career. As I said, he has a lot of chieftaincy titles, but one that is very prominent is Omembochi. If you are an able person and you know the meaning of Omembochi, you will. That's wonderful. You know, it's deep. Thank you very much. Next slide. So we don't want the number one of Ikeze. Ugochi Mereze of Umuchuka Aririmba of Umurumo. If you know what is Aririmba, he is a powerful person that he does not take. How do I explain it? Okay, let us leave it in another day. We will enter into the linguistics class. So he's a Aririmba. Okay, so thank you very much. Next slide, please. What's happened? I say next slide. You go give me something. Is it finished? Okay. Well, if it's finished, I still have the other person's CV inside my head. The next person is Engineer Princess Faith Wadishi. She's the Executive Director, Center for Transparency and Advocacy. She's a JP, she's MPI, she's many things. Yes, in view. So I think one of the lecturers there has said, so we'll talk as small, so that's. So thank you. This is the panel as constituted. I will not constitute myself into a nuisance. I have finished what I want to do, so I will hand over the microphone. No, somebody is remaining. Barrister Ndokwe, Charles Ndokwe. Find a seat for him. Barrister Ndokwe, if you don't see, you sit down on top of the table. He's a lawyer who has gone to court severally, either to defend INEC or to oppose INEC. You know why this is important? The same lawyers who will take brief to go and defend an election that somebody said was rigged will still be the same lawyer who will come and take a brief and defend the other side. And when they finish, as they talk, the book will go to the INEC chairman. Barrister Ndokwe will also be looking at litigations as it concerns elections in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I now hand over the microphone to Dr. Mark Imoni Amarere to take charge from now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's very intimidating to have this kind of panel of professors, a panel of PhD holders, a panel of lawyers, a panel of veteran rights activists, a panel of politicians, a panel of former INEC commissioners, especially when you have one among them who conducted elections where there was no court case at all, no petition. It means that he was not just a commissioner, he was, as it were, the chief security officer of that election in that state. Congratulations, sir, on that account. Right? I think that the keynote speaker has laid a very solid ground for our discussion this afternoon, this morning. Because we're looking at a decade of leadership, electoral leadership, taking into consideration the innovations, security challenges, and of course, the road that lies ahead of us as we move towards another election cycle. Recall that before 2023 elections, there was the 2022 Electoral Act. And that act guided the conduct of the 2023 elections. And if you recall that since our return to democratic rule in 1999, before every election cycle, there has always been a demand for a revision of the Electoral Act, amendments of the Electoral Act, alteration of the Electoral Act, side by side with the Constitution. And one wonders whether each time there is this amendment of the Electoral Act, whether or not those amendments are fully implemented during the next cycle of elections. We have only had the 2022 Electoral Act used for the 2023 elections. But of course, already, as you know, there have been agitations and there are moves to again amend that Electoral Act before the 2027 elections. So in the last 10 years, as we have been told by the keynote speaker, the journey has been a very challenging one. It has been full of achievements and innovations, yet that journey has not been without its share of challenges. Security threats have continued to cast a shadow over electoral operations, especially in conflict-prone areas. The cost of elections also remains high. Logistics and trust deficits also persist in the country, and political violence continues to test the resilience of Nigeria's democracy. Therefore, today's dialogue offers us an opportunity to take stock, to reflect critically on the progress made, the gaps that remain, and the lessons that can guide the next phase of electoral reforms. As we look ahead to future election cycles, including the 2027 general elections, the key question before us, or key questions before us, are very clear. How can Nigeria consolidate the gains of technological innovation while addressing the challenges that accompany them? What structural and institutional safeguards are needed to ensure security, inclusiveness, and credibility? And what role should stakeholders, from the Electoral Commission to political parties, security agencies, civil society, and citizens, very, very important, citizens, what role should they play in shaping the road ahead? Like I said earlier, we are privileged to have with us eminent panel of experts and practitioners who have been at the heart of Nigeria's electoral processes, from policy formulation and implementation to observation and advocacy. Their insights will therefore help us better understand where we are coming from and where we stand and how we can move forward more effectively. So without further ado, I'd like to begin this dialogue session. It is a dialogue session. And as our panelists are free to focus on any aspects of these past 10 years that we're looking at, and to tell us what we did right, what we got right, where we had shortcomings and what we expect should be done by the Electoral Commission as we move into the next level or next election cycle in Nigeria. May I begin with Prof. Madam, I begin with you.
I think it's afternoon already. Good afternoon, participants, distinguished members of the high table, and our friends in the media. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure when I saw the invitation because it's always nice to talk about our own experiences, what we have seen, what we have learned, and what we have gone through, and how we can build on it to further democracy in our land. I want to start by looking at some of the innovations in INEC. Professor has done a good job on that, but I want to crave your indulgence because I was on the field. I was there for 50% of the 10 years that we are discussing now. So some of these innovations, I was a personal witness to it. And then I'll also go down and summarize some of the challenges that INEC faced in the last 10 years. That's from 2015 to 2023. No, sorry, 2025. 2015 to 2025, that's one decade. So I want to start by saying that, as we have all heard before, Professor Mahmoud has the unique title of having been the only chairman of INEC that has conducted 2 general elections. He conducted the 2019 general election and the 2023 general election. Myself and my colleague here were part of the 2019 general elections, and we left just before the 2023 general elections, but we were part of the process. And you know, election is in process. It's not a one-day affair. There is the pre-election, the election, and the post-election period. So we were part of it, but we were not part of the election day activity. So some of the innovations that we personally experienced in INEC from 2015 to 2025 was the transformation from the use of the direct data machine, the DDC machine, to the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS, that served 2 functions, which is more effective and efficient during registration and the conduct of elections. This led to the innovation of an IVET machine, which is used to capture individuals' biodata during registration exercise, while the BVAS was used for accreditation and transmission of election results that can be viewed on INEC election result portal during conduct of election at polling unit or at the collation centers. Another innovation is the automatic biometric identification system, the ABIS. This was used to clean up INEC data, especially in cases of multiple registrants, people who are registering in more than one place or at more than one time. Then we also had what was called the collation support and verification system. This assisted INEC during collation of records of results by recording, verifying, and computing election results, which reduces calculation errors by both the presiding or the collation officers after the conduct of an election. Then we also had the EVM, that's the electronic voting machine, which was introduced to replace the ACIC smart card reader that we all remember. Then we also had the period of massive collaboration with technology firms, which was aimed at developing cutting-edge electoral technology solutions for a more efficient and seamless election. This feat made it possible that for the first time in Africa, INEC took the lead in adopting artificial intelligence in an election management by creating a division of AI and election in the ICT department of INEC. This is very commendable because, as I said earlier, it's the first time in Africa that AI was used in election management. The Commission also, during the Mahmoud era, conducted continuous voter registration. And the aim was to update the voter register to ensure that no citizen was disenfranchised for whatever reason. Then we also witnessed massive utilization of the traditional media, the social media, online platforms for voter education, sensitization and engagement, jingles, market outreaches. We were in the market several times. I also participated in the market. I was in the Zamfara market, in Gusau market, with time rovers and dramas. We use the local artisans, and there was drama, and I participated in the drama. It was a beautiful time. I enjoyed myself, even though it was in Zamfara, and with all the cultural, and we all know what happened anyway. And also, I want to say that it was also an era where there was massive openness and engagement with relevant stakeholders such as the NYSC, the NOAA, the National Population Commission, NIMS, Nigeria Immigration Services, Federal Road Safety Commission, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, traditional institutions. And for the traditional institutions, I want to say that honestly, people still respect the traditional institutions in Nigeria. And when I was first posted to Zamfara, we all know what Zamfara was there, especially there. The security, the insecurity was massive. It was a red flag. Nobody thought that we will be able to conduct the elections, 2019 elections. But I want to commend the traditional rulers. They gave us a lot of support, and people listened to the traditional rulers. And because of that, elections held in all the 14 local governments of Zamfara State in 2019. Then, of course, IPAC. I think the IPAC chairman is here. I will not talk about IPAC. I don't want to go into a field that I may not be extremely knowledgeable in, but I know that there was also the establishment of the ADR, that's the Alternative Dispute Resolution, to address inter and intra-party disputes in IPAC. And then in order to ensure that no citizen is disemphasized for whatever reason, Professor Mahmoud era made sure that it domesticated the people living with disabilities inclusive policy, as well as the domestication of the INEC gender policy. To drive this, a gender and inclusive department was established in 2021 to ensure that all inclusion issues are addressed effectively. Then there was the MOU that was signed between the Commission and the National Union of Road Transport Workers and the National Association of Road Transport Owners. This is because INEC cannot transport all its materials, men and materials, the personnel. So there was this MOU that was signed, and we were there, we were on board then, we signed the MOU, and these organizations were responsible for the transportation of men and materials of INEC before the elections and even after the elections. And then also because there was a lot of insecurity in many parts of the Federation, especially in the state that I was in then for the 2019 general elections, which was Zamfara, we had ITP camps. But the Professor Mahmoud era ensured that no citizen was disenfranchised for whatever reason. So PUs were moved to some IDP camps, and the IDPs were able to vote. This is very, very commendable. Another thing was that there was collaboration with the state independent election commissions, and let me put before I'm told to shut up. Then I think Prof also mentioned the issue of the welfare of staff. Yes, I think it was also done in the last 10 years. There was a lot of training and retraining of staff of INEC in line with the global best practices. But despite all these challenges, all these innovations, we faced a lot of challenges. And I think the number one challenge we faced was the issue of funding. Government of the day was not releasing funds as and when due to INEC. And this affected INEC. It affected the logistics and the plans of INEC. You cannot plan or do anything without money. So we faced a lot of problems with the issue of funding. The funds were not released on time. And we are also aware that the beavers, also in so many places, in so many PUs, they did not work optimally, but they were addressed. In places where they were not addressed on time, the election was posted to another day. We did that in 2 local governments in my state, in Zamfara then, when I was the resident electoral commissioner. Then, of course, there is this issue of cyber security. We all know that during the 2023 election, INEC came out to say that results will be viewed online. There will be the INEC portal, but unfortunately, INEC experienced serious threats due to multiple cyber attacks. It was reported by INEC that there were 13 million cyber attacks on the INEC IRM portal recorded for the presidential elections of 2023. Then we had also serious insecurity with our men and our materials. Many of INEC offices were vandalized. Many INEC staff were beaten. There was a lot of violence and insecurity on our men and materials. Then the issue of money politics. Money politics also came in. There was a lot of vote buying and vote selling. IPAC chairman, I want him to talk on this because he's the right person to talk on this. It's about politicians. They are the people that buy the votes and give out the money. And that is undermining credible elections. It is not the best thing. Please, we hope that we will not see that in 2023. Then, of course, I know that there were some cases of indiscipline of INEC